we are going to do section 3.2, multi-step inequalities. Solving multi-step inequalities is the same as solving equations, except what's the one difference that we've got to do with the inequalities? What? We do need to, that's the first thing we do, we distribute. But what's the difference? The sign. There's no equal sign, and what have we got to do to that sign if we divide by negative? We got to flip the sign. There's no equal sign. You have an inequality sign, which is less than or greater than, like you saw yesterday. So let's just start with an example. Me too. Okay, I want it to be. Because a lot of you, when you see a problem like this, you just like your eyes go crossed and you just stare at the page for 3 minutes and then you put down 7. Right? Because you just think it looks super difficult. Okay? But once you get past the first couple steps, it's going to look like the easier problems that we did before. So I want you over here to the side. We're going to write down the steps for solving an equation. It's the same as for inequalities. So what's the first thing that we do? Distribute. Now you can't always distribute, but in this particular problem you can. We can distribute the 3. So we'll get 3x minus 6 plus 4x. I would. Especially the bigger problems, that's really where I would make sure I draw the line. Because if not, sometimes you get the sides mixed up, your equal sign just disappears, or inequality sign just disappears, and it's not good. So, first step is distribute. What is our second step? Combine like terms. So we're going to combine like terms on each side. Okay? So I'm looking, this is one reason I like to draw that line, because I know I got to look over just what's over here on the left, and then just what's over here on the right. Some of you want to like combine all the x's together, no matter where they're at, and you can't do that. So over here on the left-hand side, nope, 3x plus 4x. You're just putting them together. You don't change the sign because they're on the same side. You're not moving anything to the other side. You're just combining. So 3x and positive 4x gives you 7x minus 6. So it's only when you move it to the other side that you change the sign. Okay? All right, over here on the right-hand side, what can I put together? 9 and negative 4, that's going to give me 5. Okay? Keep your sign the same. You haven't divided by a negative, so you're going to leave it alone. Okay? So, we've distributed. We have combined like terms. What comes next? Okay? We are going to move the x terms so that they are together. Always move those variables first, because if you don't, sometimes it gets weird looking and you don't know where to go from that. There. So in this case, I would subtract this 6x. This this is where, Julian, we got to use the other sign because we're taking 6x and it's going all the way over here to the other side. So you got to use the opposite sign. Okay? So we cancel that out. We get just a 1x minus 6 is greater than or equal to 5. Then, from here, we're just going to solve. You should be down to something that's a 1 or 2 step equation here, which you guys are doing fairly well with. So we just add that 6. X is greater than or equal to 11. It is okay if you have that 1x there, but 1x is just x, right? So it's better to write it without it. Like, you could divide off the 1, but that's still just going to be 11, so it's better to just write it without it. Yes? So you move the 7 to the other side? No. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Okay. Questions? All right, we do want to graph our answer on these. So we would have 11, here would be 10, here would be 12. We'll have a closed circle. Which direction do I shade? Right. Okay. Not on the ones that we are going to do. There is a type of problem I could give you where it would stop at 12 or 15 or something like that, but not on what we're going to do in class because we don't have to do compound inequalities anymore, so we're not going to do that. All right. All right, let's try another one. Let's do sample 2. Let's do 0.6 is greater than or equal to 2 minus x over 4. Okay, this is another one that you just look at and you're like, ooh, I'm just going to skip this one or guess or give up. But you can do it. It's not significantly more difficult than the others. Okay, so what did you say, Julian? Okay, so we got to get rid of the 4. To do that, we multiply by 4, which just cancels the 4 on that on the right hand side. And over here, we're going to multiply by 4. To multiply decimals, we just multiply 4 times 6. It gives us 24. But then I had 1 decimal here, so I got to put 1 decimal in my answer. So I got 2.4. Greater than or equal to 2 minus x. Okay, now we will subtract the 2. We'll get 0.4 is greater than or equal to negative x. I could flip it around, but I do need to get rid of that negative x right there first. It's like having a negative 1, so I divide by negative 1, which is going to give me negative 0.4. What do I have to do to the sign? Got to flip it because I divided by a negative there. It's so easy to forget to do that. Just the bottom number has to be negative when you flip your sign. Yeah, just the bottom, so it doesn't matter. No, because if I had negative 6 divided by negative 2, I'd flip the sign, but if I had negative 6 divided by positive 2, I would not flip the sign. So it matters.
Just both negative.
It's the bottom. If the bottom is negative,
Okay.
then you're going to flip the sign. Okay? Now, if I'm wanting to graph this, it'd really be easier to graph this if my x was over here on the left-hand side and my negative 0.4 was over here. So whenever I switch that back, what have I got to do with that sign? It's got to get flipped around too, because the x was eating, the alligator was eating the x, so it's got to turn around so that it still eats the x here. I just like to do that for graphing because it helps me whenever I graph it. So I've got negative 0.4, so I put like negative 0.3 here, negative 0.5 here. Open circle or closed? Closed. Right or left? Right. Yeah, we flipped it here because we divided by a negative. So we went from the greater than to the less than here because we divided by a negative. But when I graph it, I really want my x to be on that left-hand side. So I flipped it back whenever I switched the sign of the equal sign. So if you divide by negative, you got to flip the sign. If you switch the sides of the equal sign, which we usually don't do until the very end, then you got to flip it back. All right, questions?
I'm confused. I mean, I understand it now.
Okay. Got it. All right, let's do another one. You guys are going to like this one.
I feel like you're lying.
All right, let's do 1/3 x minus 5/6 is greater than 1/3. I
You
did.
said it was easy, and we would like it.
I said you would like it. Okay? So, all right, these are pretty much fractions, but
Are they pretty much
They-
Are they?
you know, the last problem looked like a fraction, but did we ever have, or not? This one looked like a fraction, but did we actually have to do anything with fractions? No, because that 4 was division, right? This one, they're pretty much fractions, because I don't have like everything divided by a 3 or something here, so I've got to deal with these fractions. But here's a trick, okay? So you could add 5/6 and divide by 1/3. You could solve this using fractions. Or, if you would prefer not to, here is a trick that you can use for whenever you have equations or inequalities that have fractions, okay? If we were going to get common denominators, what number would we use for our common denominator for 1/3, 5/6, and 1/3? We would use 6, right? Okay, so I'm going to multiply this side of the equation by 6, and I'm going to multiply.
Because 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 times 2 is
So,
6 times 4.
if you got, like, if you had 1/3 and 5/6 and you were trying to add them together, you'd have to have common denominators. You could get that by multiplying this fraction by 2 on top and bottom, which would give you 2, 6 plus 5, 6. So think about, like, if I was going to add all these numbers together, what would I have to put on the bottom of the fraction? Okay, so in this case, it would be 6.
So we're multiplying the 6 times.
All right. Possibly, I can't remember. Be ready for it. Okay. All right, so, look. Once you multiply by 6, the fractions are going to be gone. So, 6 times 1/3. If I do 6 times 1/3, that's 6 over 1 times 1/3, right? What do I do to multiply fractions? Straight across. That's 6 over 3. What is 6 divided by 3? 2. So this is just 2x. Feel a little better that that 1/3's gone?
Yeah.
We're going to do the same thing here
That's 30.
with 6 times 5 6. That is 6 over 1, so it's 30 divided by 6, which is 5. Minus 5. Greater than, I've already done 6 times 1/3. I did that right here, right? So I'm going to get 2 right here. Okay, so fractions are gone. Now we're down just to 2 separate equations. You guys were doing this yesterday, right? So add 5. So 2x is greater than 7. Divide by 2. You got a couple options here. You can do 3.5, or you could just do 7 halves. Just leave it as a fraction. I will tell you I don't think you're going to get a fraction answer on the activity you're doing today, so it'll be okay. But either one is okay. There. Sometimes, like, quiz tomorrow is going to be multiple choice, so both of those won't be there. It'll be one or the other. And you won't have, you could end up with something like this, but it's going to be something small like 7 divided by 2. I'm not going to give you something like, 147 over 3 or something like that, or over 10 and ask you to do that. It's going to be smaller numbers if there is a decimal. I can't remember if there is one or not, actually. So if we were going to graph this, 3.5 is between 4 and 3. Open, circle, or closed? Open, right or left? Right. And that would be our answer. So once we got rid of the fractions, that one was easy peasy, right? It was like we were doing yesterday, not too bad.
So with the graph, like, if it's going this way, it's just going the opposite direction?
Pretty much.
That's what I thought it was.
You're thinking about the alligator?
Yeah.
Yeah, if the alligator's eating this way, the sign, you'll shade the opposite direction. Yes. When we finish the notes, you can go get it. Okay. Alright, let's do another one with some fractions to make sure we got it. I'm going to let you try this one on your own. Let's do let's do minus 3/5 is less than or equal to negative
You said negative?
1/2. Okay. Okay. Alright, so there's going to be a number we can multiply by here that will get rid of all of our denominators.
So whenever like the negative sign is on 1 or 2, does it mean that the 1 is just negative or the 2?
Frank, that's a good question. So, like, I kind of wrote it like negative 1 divided by 2. For fractions, there are 3 ways you can write that negative. You can write the negative on the top. You can put the negative just out front, like this, like in between the 2. Or you could put the negative in the bottom. All of those are equal to each other. It doesn't matter where you put it. You're actually usually, with questions, usually you see it written more like out here, out front, instead of in top or bottom. But you can treat it like it's in either one. The only thing you can't do is put it in both places. Because what's negative 1 divided by negative 2? It wouldn't be 2. It'd be positive 1/2. If you got negative over negative, it becomes positive. So don't put the negative in both places, but it can be top, middle, or bottom. So I would treat it either like it's out front. I think it's actually, on this, it's a little bit easier to treat it like it's in the top for that. That way you don't have to worry about it for the denominators there. All right. What number would we use if we were trying to add 1/4, 1/3, and 1/2 all together? 20. Okay?
It was
So if you're unsure how to do this, think 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. That goes on and on forever, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and you keep going, 18, 20, 22, 24. What you're looking for is the first number that shows up in all three lists. So 20 is the lowest number that shows up in all three lists. So that is the number we will multiply by. So I'm going to multiply this side by 20. I'm going to multiply this side by 20. So I got to do 20 times 1/4 is 20 over 1. So it's 20 over 4, which is 5. So 5x. I got to do 20 times 3/5, which is 60 divided by 5, which is 12. And negative 1/2 times 20. It's going to be negative 20 over 2, which is negative 10. Alright, so you guys feel better? Fraction's gone? As a negative 10, yes. So, Caroline, tell me what to do to solve this one.
First, you would minus 12.
Good, good. And so we got a 5x here. And what does that give us when we do negative 10 plus 12? Good. And then last step. Good. Okay. So, you can make a decimal here. It's 0.4. Some of you might not know off the top of your head that's 0.4. Just leave it 2/5 if that's the case. Okay? It's okay to leave it a fraction.
Or you could always just do
You could do the division. Yeah. But it might take you a while. So you could just leave it a fraction. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, so 0 would be here, 1 would be up here. Open or close circle? Closed. Right or left? Left. Okay. Alright, let me see if there's anything else you need to see here. I think that's it. Okay. Alright, so your assignment for today. Let me show you what you'll be doing to make sure this makes sense, okay? Where's my document camera? All right. Okay. So, yes, if you don't finish it. Okay. So, you are going to get some dominoes. Now, whenever you think of dominoes, you probably just think of the little blocks that you set up and then you knock them over. But dominoes is a game that you can actually play. Okay? So, the way that you play dominoes is like whenever you put them together, like if one of the dominoes has one dot, you match it up with another one that has one dot, and then you put these together. So the reason I've called these dominoes is because you're going to kind of do that here. So you will search through the dominoes, and you will find a problem. Here, let me. This looks all right. They're all the same, so you can all just go ahead and get out a paper, and we'll do the first one together to make sure we're on the same page. Okay? All right. So this is what your paper is going to look like. No, you'll put on your own on these. You'll put your name up here. Some of you have a hard time with that. All right. So Each one of these dominoes is going to have a little letter in the corner here. So you want to put that letter right there. Okay, they're not going to go A, B, C, D. They'll go out of order. And I know which order they go in. So I'm going to solve the equation that is here on this domino. So I will have 0 is greater than 3x minus 3 minus 6. Okay, so I'm going to solve this inequality. So the first thing I would do is distribute, but is there anything to distribute? No. Then I combine like terms. So I have anything to combine? I put the negative 3 and the negative 6 together. So I'm going to have 0 is greater than 3x minus 9. Yeah, I would, because they're all the same problem. So this will be your first problem. Yeah. So then we would add 9. So we got 9 is greater than 3x. And last step, divide by 3. And so 3 is greater than x. It's really important on these. Make sure you're working straight down and don't just put a 3 somewhere as your answer. Because your answer is not just 3. It is 3 is greater than x, or how else can I write that if I put my x first? X is less than 3. Okay? So, you will search through your dominoes. Here's the problem. There's going to be several. You got to search through them. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing right here. Okay. So, I'm looking through, and I'm looking for anything that's got a 3. These are not 3s. There's one that has a 3. But there's going to be some other ones, possibly, that have a 3. It doesn't spell anything, but I know the order the letters are supposed to go in, so I can check it pretty quick with that. So I've got both of these as possibilities. Okay, which one of those is correct? F is correct. Because this one right here is x is greater than 3, right? So it's not that one. I'm going to save that one. So F comes next. So I'm going to do F. Okay? So the dominoes, you are supposed to like put them end to end if they're equal to each other. So those two are equal to each other. So the answer to this question is x is less than 3. So now you'll work out the next question, which is 4x plus 1 minus 1 is greater than or equal to negative 8. Right? So you'll work out this problem. Then, once you find that, you're going to search through all of your dominoes, whichever one is the answer. It comes next. So let's say it's H. I don't think it is, but if it was H, then I would work out this problem. Right? And then when I get the answer to that, maybe it's D. And then I would work out that problem. So I know what order they are supposed to go in. So I can check you really quickly based on whether or not you got the right order. Okay? Does that make sense? Combine your like terms first. Alright, everybody ready? Okay. I would love it if you finish before you leave, but these will be homework if you do not finish. So, yes. Uh-huh. You don't have to put the 0 down. So you just got 4x is greater than or equal to negative 8. And you may want to count first, because it's been a couple years since I used these. I didn't use these last year. You should have one. There should be 17 of these. So you might want to count them first and make sure you're not missing one. Because if you're missing one, it's going to mess you up if you try to do that problem. If you have 17, you probably want to count them first to make sure you've got all of them that you're supposed to have. It's There should be 17. You'll have 13, 15. Okay. Line them up A, B, C, D, and let's see which ones you're missing. I've got some extras. There should be 17, so count and make sure there's 17. Yeah, if you're missing one, line them up A, B, C, D, and then see what you're missing. It should go all the way to. Yeah. Actually, not Q. Yeah, Q. Yeah, it should be 17. So you're not going ABC.
So
Like as far as working the problems out. But if you're missing one, put them in ABC order so I can see what
So
you're
it's hot.
Where's this answer?
I'm missing
So like,
Ultra 11.
In Miss Cole's class, she doesn't let us use the SU word. The SU word is shut up. She said absolutely.
make sure as you're doing this, you have to letter your problems. Because I need to know that you're doing them in the right order.
Negative one.
It's Herbert.
Oh, that's my bad.
So you just find the card that has the extra previous problem.
Yes, and then you work that.
This is. I'm not really up for those. Pizza. I thought we were buddies. So you guys divide by 2. 0 divided by 2. 0 divided by any number. So is this one? It would be like that.
It's going to be 0 less than or equal to
Negative one.
I don't know.
Okay, so what do you do with the top? You got to combine like terms.
So I combine those two.
What do you get with this together? Good. Okay, what would you do next?
Which one equal 8?
Right. Well, it's still going to be negative 8. It doesn't really change anything. You don't need that plus there. All right. Well, work this right down for me though, because it's really important whether it's x greater than or equal to x less than. Divide both sides by 4. Right. So make sure you're working straight down. So don't put it over here, like work right below. So on that
What
side,
kind of insult?
all right, so make that line go a little bit further. So you'll get your inequalities mixed up. See, that negative 2 doesn't go over here.
What?
You're working straight down, right? So the 4 is cancelled. And what's left on this side? X. And then over here, negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. So it's really important
No, you're right, you're gonna zero divide by two. So it's just zero.
Still be the same thing.
Okay, zero can be an answer.
It's gotta be, man. Why are there so many different things? What is this? No, I don't want to. I don't want to read this civic graph. Civic graph. I made a 90. About my grade up Why can't I keep talking?
So whenever you're looking at a graph, you don't have to put it in there. So
I'm trying to
whenever
find the
you look
stupid
at this
card.
graph, oh, it's right to the side, you don't change this direction.
L is the first one.
So E goes after F.
It's LFE.
S L F E.
I'm trying to find the answer for
That's what I'm trying to do.
I think you missed it.
So zero. It's gotta be on
It
zero.
may be.
It has to be on zero.
I think about it.
What is it? K.
What?
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't say it. I didn't say it.
What did you just say?
Shut up. KKK. Probably one of the worst groups of all time. Right. It's my bad.
So it's like that right here. I thought we were best friends.
I didn't say the third thing. I said K.
But we're supposed to be best friends. And you still trying to do that.
No, I did.
So that means these two, you might want to block them off. Because I think these two, I was like, block them off. And then, we were supposed to do that way on six.
I'm sorry.
We have a lot of best friends.
I'm sorry. What's
You're thinking of shit.
I swear to God, I have a sound. That is literally all I heard. I think there's like half a fork and then another fork.
Half a fork?
Yeah, half a fork. Oh, wow.
Your range is up.
What?
Your range is up.
Amazing. Is it everywhere? It's literally a salad. Alright. That thing is super easy to do.
I'm done. I'm still way over here. I'm getting I'm getting some questions later.
I forgot to tell you.
I'm just playing. Hey, just.
They're like straight salad.
Right here, it did not, you had to here. What did it say?
Wow.
Oh. The problem with this one is it's got. So every circle is got. And then. So there's one, it's a graph.
What's that?
Either or
Ranch?
The range is what? I'm not even.
no sunflower seeds in class. Put them away.
I'll have some fun.
I don't have any. We're just talking about
Hey, so I got this really big jumbo bag. Sunflower seeds for baseball. And I did. So it's upstairs in my fat bag. A big old bag of sunflower seeds.
You haven't had your haircut.
Yeah, I really have.
You can very a 6 on sunflower seeds, so those
Yeah, he had to say that the whole time.
Okay, if you look at me like
B minus 2 plus 4.
Hey, way too loud. I need
help too.
do you?
Yeah,
I just need to
my
find
pencil
out
not
how to
working.
figure out E, and then I can probably do that. Honestly, you do the fraction.
My
Because
pencil
fraction
not
is actually
working.
really easy.
Pencil not working. Pencil not working.
Why are we talking?
I don't know.
negative 2 times just go negative 2.
Negative B plus 2.
Okay. So E, I think I did it wrong. I thought we were doing X.
No, you got turn it off. Instead of doing plus negative 1, do minus 1.
Minus 1. So I did it.
This looks more confusing. It means the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I get the right answer.
Hey, Marlon,
So will it be negative 2?
E
negative 2.
okay.
Oh, it might be 1.
Okay. Reason is that has an open circle.
No, well, I still did the equation.
It's not.
Okay.
Okay, I
So,
found it.
how do you keep going?
Negative 2 plus 4.
Take that 1 away from that.
Alright, what is this?
Okay, so add 1. Which will be 2. Oh, so that's it. Okay, what would up?
Negative 2 plus 4. Negative dose.
I did the problem.
What's 8 minus back?
It's really important to work names. You gotta be careful with this. I don't like it when you get on the right hand side. So let's switch it and let's put N over here on the right hand side, left hand side.
Do I turn to something else?
Yeah.
And you're looking for greater than.
What's 8? This is not.
Oh, greater than
Okay, next.
You know, I know that. I know that.
Hey, Adrian, what's 10 and better?
I don't. I can't remember.
Is this?
Improper.
Give me
What's negative 6 minus 9?
Negative 6 minus what?
Minus 9.
Oh, no.
7 minus 5.
You were. Let me see it. We got the same one together.
I need your help.
Is it next?
Yes. I got the answer. But now I have to find it in 4.
Okay, do it. Okay. You just like finish off.
Well, I have I'll eventually have sunflower seeds.
Bingo.
Why are all these gonna be grass? That's gonna be all in negative 3.
Oh, crap.
Alright, it's not work if you don't finish some of it. There's gotta be work with it.
Wait, I found it. Yes.
Did you find it?
No, no.
After M, it's LSEMN. This